Real people, real opinions.
Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
Going on there. Anyway, let me just read this out to you first, and we'll come to all that stuff later on. But hi, Niall. Please don't use my name or where I'm from. If you use this, I'm so worried someone in our office might know of me, or I made this email account so I could write this email in. I found out last week my dad was having an affair with a man for 15 years, and I found out when he died. It's like something out of EastEnders. My whole world has been turned upside down. I'll give you the details, and hopefully you can tell me what to do, because I don't know what to do. My parents were married for 41 years. My mum was 65 and he was 67. When he died a month ago, they had a regular enough marriage. It wasn't a lovey-dovey kind of thing, but there were no massive issues in terms of aggression or arguments like some of my friends' parents. The only thing that was ever really an issue is my mum being a bit sad and detached. For as long as I remember, she was a bit like that. Very loving, but always a bit sad. My dad died after a long illness. I won't go into too many details, but we were all devastated. At the funeral, I spotted a man who was very emotional. He stood out because he was alone and trying to hide the fact that he was crying. I went up to him, and Niall, all I can say is the interaction between us put the fear of God in me. He said his name and said my name like he knew me, and he looked so lost and afraid, and then he just ran. I never saw him again. Needless to say, I went rooting and found their correspondence on my dad's laptop. It was like my dad was a different person, leaving a double life. They were madly in love and called each other soulmates. I can't bring myself to tell you what else they talked about. You can only imagine. Now, I can't even grieve. Who was my dad? Did he even love his family at all? I can't help think this has been the case, or the cause of my mother's depression for her whole life. That she was married to a man who didn't love her. I can't even think about the dangers of the physical side of all this. Should I tell her? I don't want her to spend her last good years grieving something that wasn't real. She can still have a life, but I don't want to break her. What should I do? That's a really difficult situation. There are so many situations. Philip Schofield comes to mind, of course, where, people who are gay and married a woman never tell them, and then maybe at 60 or 70 years of age they come out. But this guy died with his little secret, and his boyfriend was at the funeral. The number's 087 188 0008. Should she tell her mother what she found and what she found out? Because clearly the mother probably doesn't know, but maybe knows something was going on. Should she tell the mother? Let me know what you think. The number's 087 188 0008. Let me go to Sienna. Sienna, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Sienna?
Hi, Niall. Excuse me, how are you?
I'm good, Sienna. Your line is very bad, Sienna. Are you on a speakerphone or something like that? Oh.
No, hear me now.
I can hear you fine. Yeah, but go on. All right, go on. Go on.
No, it's all the buildings going on, fucking cranes and everything over me.
Yeah.
Flying dogs flying across the sky.
Yeah.
No, she shouldn't tell.
Right.
Keep her mouth shut. The mother is grieving. Maybe the mother knew something was going on.
But she didn't know it was a man, did she?
Oh, no. Well, I'll tell you now.
No.
I'm separated years and years. And I got no disrespect to anyone. This is my opinion. I'd rather find your husband in there with a girl than a fella.
Why? What difference does it make? It's cheating, isn't it?
So cheating is cheating. But to think that this is me now. So people need to get on the phone and need to face off.
No, I know what you mean. No. I know what you mean, because not only is he cheating, but he's been living a lie because he's gay as well. Yeah.
He's living a lie, but he's gay.
Yeah, he's gay.
So he's... now, if I was that gay, I will tell you now, and your man was crying, I'd bet him out of that graveyard.
Would you?
Yeah.
Oh, you'd go over and get him a hiding, like? Get the hell out of here, like?
Out of that graveyard, and said he'd cheat you. He'd some bloody cheat. Could he not have waited?
Yeah, you know what? You're actually right. Wouldn't you think he would have waited maybe till the next day, till everyone was gone, and then maybe yeah, you're right. You're right.
He didn't want Jesus Christ. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it
I
was
think
disrespectful.
that dad knew as well. She knew before any of this.
Yeah,
Her dad was up to something.
yeah,
Because you go to funerals, there's always someone standing in a funeral home after funeral. There's always a couple of funerals on.
yeah.
Could have been crying about anything. She goes over to him. Well, I'll tell you now, if he said that to me, I'd take him out.
Yeah, well, he knew her name, because he knew everything about the family. Yeah,
No respect for the family.
yeah.
He should. What do you think the wife is going to say? Oh well, I didn't know.
But when
you
she went
fucking
through when she went
well,
through when she went through the emails and everything else, or the conversations on his laptop, and they were madly in love. Seemingly they've been together. They've been together for 15 years. 15 years together.
That's what I find very peculiar. Nothing was hidden. So maybe the wife did know, but
Well,
she was trying
when you
to
say
hide
nothing,
it from the
yeah,
family.
but when you say nothing was hidden, it was on his laptop. He probably assumed nobody was ever going to see it until he died, and then someone did get to see it.
But then, you know what, Niall, I don't know. I think there's more to this story. It's true as God. Definitely. But I mean, for a girl to come on and say, she didn't even say how old she was. Well, will I tell me, Mum? No, you keep your mouth shut and leave your ma alone.
Would you not think she'd want to know? I'd want to
Probably
know.
does know, Niall. The woman probably does know. Or else at least leave the mother until you will know. We all know our parents, right?
Yeah.
And you will know time when it's right to ask them something or tell them something. You say, right, she's in a better state of mind now.
Yeah.
I'd leave it. Just let the past go with him on 6 foot under. And if you see a man again, baiting down the road.
So you don't think it'd serve a purpose to tell the mother now? It's pointless.
It won't
At
serve
her
any
age.
purpose.
Well, I mean, she's 65. Well, she's still a young woman. She's 65. She's not like an old pensioner or anything like that. She's 65.
She's nice ahead of her. So just leave her alone and leave her get on with leave her.
But would she not want to know? But would you want to know? You'd want to know, Sienna, wouldn't you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm telling you now.
You wouldn't want to know.
I wouldn't want to know because Niall, that would be worse than telling me that he was dead.
Would it?
Telling me that he was carrying on with a man for 15 years.
Right.
He would be dead then, even if he wasn't dead.
You'd kill him. Yeah, I know. Most people probably say the same thing. But stay there for a second. No, hang on. Let me go to Margaret as well. Margaret, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Margaret?
Hi, Niall. How are you?
Good, Margaret. I mean, it is a shocking story, but it's not unusual, Margaret. It's it's quite common, these kind of things.
No, it's very common, Niall. A lot more common than what you think. And I think the mother had a suspicion that there was something going on, right?
Yeah.
She probably necessarily thought it was with another woman, but she probably didn't know it was with another man.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
But that's beside the point. The husband died, and then the partner turned up at the funeral, which was an awful thing to do.
It was, yeah.
Whoever
So
fella
obvious.
was.
So obvious, wasn't it?
During their distress, and I agree with you saying he could have went to the graveyard the next day,
Yeah.
and done his grieving there on his own. But if it was me and I was the son or daughter, whoever it is that emailed into you, and it'd be a son or the daughter, what I'd do is I would leave another week or so, maybe 2 at the most. I would talk to my mother. I'd put my arm around my mother. I'd turn on the computer and I'd say, Mom, I've something to show you. And I want you to realise I'm doing this because you're a young woman, you have a life to live. Dry up your tears, because what I'm going to show you is there's no need for you to grieve any longer. And I think the woman has a right to know what the husband was up to.
Fair point, Sienna. I kind of find myself agreeing with Sienna. I know you don't agree. So go on, Sienna.
They weren't separated. They weren't divorced.
No. He was living a lie. He was cheating on her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lie. Sorry, the freaking computer on top of him. I'll take him out of the head with it.
I know.
Yeah, find out where I'm on.
Your line is dreadful, Sienna, but you're funny.
Niall.
Yeah, sorry.
There is probably a life policy somewhere there.
Yeah, yeah.
And if we're going to say, I've been with this guy for the last 15 years, I'm entitled to some of that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be taken into account here, you know.
Oh, yeah. There may be legal ramifications. Yeah, there could be.
Don't you know
Yeah, yeah.
that, you know, because you don't know what the other person is like. And,
Just
you know,
bastard. What I do.
but you can't do that even though you feel like doing it.
See, I tell you, Sienna's in fighting form tonight.
You know,
What?
I mean,
Kill him.
they were still husband and wife, and you know he was doing the dirt behind the woman's back, and his children's back, and I think, you know, as I said, if it's the son or the daughter, whoever it is, you know, with the mother, I would do that in the next week or two,
Right.
because you know there'd be lots of things that would need to be tidied up and all that. You don't know what this guy's intentions are in claiming half of the house or anything. You don't know. You don't know with these people, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Like, there's a lot-
I'm looking here. It's, like, there's a text here that says, "Hi, Niall. I worked in a well-known gay bar in Dublin, and it was older clientele. So many men in their 60s, married but gay, not camp, watch football. None of these stereotypes you are told about. This is very common."
It is very common. Oh, it is very common, Niall. And it's the same
I
with-
didn't realise it was that common.
But it's the same with lesbians that are married to a
Mm,
man.
right.
And then it's the opposite, you know,
Yeah.
where the wife is going out and meeting up with a girl and going home then to the husband.
Well, stay
You know
there.
what I
Wait,
mean?
yeah, well, hang on. Let me just bring in Sharon as well. Sharon, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Sharon?
I know.
How are you doing? Gee,
Oh, my head is
Sienna wants to murder him. Sienna wants to bury the laptop with him.
Oh,
By the way, can I just news just coming in case anybody really gives a shit? Joe Biden has landed Air Force One at Aldergrove Airport in Belfast. There you go. I just thought I'd mention it because people are interested. in
God
that kind
bless him.
of- God love him. Yeah,
Safe landing.
yeah. God spared him. Anyway, getting back to our... See, I mean, Sharon, I didn't realise this was common as it is, but in the last few years we've heard a lot of cases, like Philip Schofield comes to mind because that was one of the most famous ones, of men in their 50s and 60s who suddenly who knew all along they were gay but got married and lived a lie. So this guy lived a lie, but sadly died before he got to tell his wife about it. Now, she clearly knew something was going on, I'd say, because she did say her mother was very sad. Now, I don't know what that means. Maybe she thinks her mother knew there was something going on, or maybe an affair, but never had proof of it. But now she finds
Well,
out
the
he's with a bloke.
Yeah, the relationship, you see, probably certain parts of the relationship maybe have stopped,
The intimacy.
you know,
Yeah,
if that was the case. Yeah.
yeah.
So that could have been the answer for the sadness. But
Mm.
I think that the daughter's got to softly chat to her mother, to tease her out and see if she can get her to talk, because it's important to talk in grief. And they may need to go to grief counselling, and you know, the feelings will have to be dealt with, because feelings that aren't dealt with at the time come back later in years.
Yeah.
Emotions you don't deal with at the time, they come back, and you've got to deal with them and then put them to rest. You know.
So what would you do? Would you tell? Would you tell the mother yourself?
I kind of go about it very softly, and say,
But
you know,
how? But you would tell her.
I'd see how she was reacting.
You're sitting on the fence, Sharon, which is really unusual for you. You're normally quite competent when it comes to these things, but you're sitting on the fence. You're kind of cautious about this.
Well, okay, I'll come off the fence then. Yeah, I would tell her. I've jumped off now. I would tell her, because, I mean, the woman could end up the rest of her life kind of grieving a marriage and, you know, not moving on. And if she knew about this, maybe she could
Move on quicker.
cope better
Yeah.
and move on, and
Because she'd
enjoy
be
the
thinking
rest
he
of her
doesn't
life
deserve.
if
She,
quite sad.
yeah, she could be thinking to herself if she knows he doesn't deserve my grief.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
She'll
Because
still grieve. She
he's
will
cl-
still grieve
he's
the
clearly a
loss of
louser.
the whole thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's a cheat.
So-
he's,
Yeah.
what do you think your man
Yeah.
showing up at the
At
funeral?
least you might. Very, very disrespectful, really.
Isn't it? Yeah, yeah. Do you think it's common, Sharon?
Um,
Do you think it's a common situation for married men
Well,
in their
the
50s
more,
and
the
60s?
more I'm hearing and seeing, the world has become very, very liberal, and relationships. A lot of them seem to become very liberal too.
Mm.
If what I'm seeing, when I'm walking around
Mm.
town and stuff, you get
Yeah.
inklings, and yeah,
It's kind of it's like a free for all, isn't it?
it's like everything was one way, and now it's gone 100% the other way.
Yeah,
Free for all, yeah.
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 But you'd imagine, look, if a bloke is gay, he's gay, that's grand, but just tell your missus. I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand, and somebody can maybe help me out. Maybe somebody, from the gay community who's listening can make me understand this. People say to me, I was born gay. I always knew I was gay, right? Fair enough. But why does somebody marry a woman? And I'm not talking about somebody from 60 or 70 years ago where it was really frowned upon and you would have done that just to hide the fact you were gay. But even more recently, I'm seeing it's still happening. Why make a fool of a woman and marry her and have kids with her when you know you're gay and you're sneaking out to gay bars? Why would you do that? I don't get that.
No. When you say how recently, though, I mean, people did hide these things for a long time, and now they don't have to hide it anymore. Do they still go down that road and marry and deny it? And
Yeah, I think they do. It's self-denial, isn't it? I mean, somebody sent in a text here and says, can't believe ye don't understand how hard it was for that poor dead man to live his life in secret. He obviously couldn't come to terms, or couldn't because of society. He died with a broken heart. You sound very ignorant. Well, hold on for a second. In the last 10 years, I mean, there would have been no problem in coming out. So he's no excuse.
it takes a huge amount of bravery to come out.
When you're married.
It takes a lot of bravery.
What about your poor
Yeah,
wife? I like that Philip Schofield story.
absolutely.
I didn't feel
Yeah.
sorry for Philip Schofield at all. I couldn't care less about him. I felt sorry for his wife
Absolutely.
and his kids.
Yeah. They would be better to come out with it and discuss it, and everybody could
I can't believe how ignorant that texter was.
clear it all up, and at least if he was sorry and they moved their separate ways, that would have been something. But he kept that woman in that relationship, and she could have been free and happy with someone else.
Margaret, do you think he should? I mean, do you think he was afraid to come out, Margaret, while he was alive? Oh, Margaret's gone. She's abandoned us. Okay, let me go. Let me go to Niamh. Niamh, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Niamh?
Hi, Niall. How are you?
Good, Niamh. Nice to talk to you. Niamh, Sharon says he was kind of afraid to. Look, in the last, about 20 years ago, in the last 10 years, I don't buy that excuse.
No. But I'm actually missing. What age was the man?
67, and his wife is 65.
Okay.
He's only dead recently.
I think I also feel desperately sorry for the daughter in this scenario. She's also having them, not just. I mean, we're all concentrating on the mother, which is understandable, but the daughter has also had a major shock. That is her father, and now he's a totally different person to what she remembers. And she has to come to terms with that too. What I would suggest to her is, instead of going in and talking to the mother, because none of us are experts in this scenario, how on earth do you even start that conversation? I'd advise her to go and talk to somebody, a counsellor, whatever, somebody that can help her to navigate this, because horribly sometimes it's the messenger that gets shot, especially in grief. When this woman is in the depths of grief, she's grieving a husband that she thought she had. She didn't, but she thought she did. And so instead of just going in, sitting down with a cup of coffee and saying, Mama, something to tell you, your husband was gay.
And hanging out with another bloke for the last 15 years.
Who turned up at the funeral.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a huge amount of stuff to unpack. I think she needs to get help herself because she's also had an immense shock. I mean, don't know how she would be dealing with the fact that her father was living a lie.
Yeah.
Her dad too.
Yeah.
I don't know if she has brothers or sisters that she
Doesn't
can confide in.
mention any of that. No, doesn't mention any of that, so I don't know.
Or a trusted friend to get, but definitely.
But see, it's
sit
the
down
kind
with
of thing
somebody.
but when you say a trusted friend, it's the kind of thing you feel you don't want to tell anybody because it's mortifying. It's so embarrassing, you know?
Well, it's not her embarrassment. Do you know what I mean? She has done nothing wrong, neither has her mother. Nothing they have to be embarrassed about. The only thing they were victims of was having the wool very firmly pulled over their eyes for the last 15 bloody years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's shocking. But I would do it fast because if this guy can turn up at the funeral, he can knock at the mother's door.
Yeah, this is true.
He can do that too. We don't know what his frame of mind is. He's obviously feeling like he's lost the love of his life and he's hurting and he could come out fighting.
We never thought of that,
No,
Sharon. He couldn't come knocking on the door. That's all you'd need.
He could be vicious. Grief can turn people nasty too. And if he feels...
Oh, sorry, I lost you there for a second. I do apologize. Oh, sorry, Dave.
Sorry.
That was my fault. I did something stupid there. Sorry.
If he feels that he can't publicly grieve and he can't sort of, get the sympathy because his partner died, because he was a secret. So he's not publicly out there with this man as his partner. So he could, I'm not saying he will, but he could turn a little bit nasty.
Well, he's no right to go near the woman because
he's no right to.
Such grief.
he's
Maybe
no
down
right
the
to,
line they could talk way down the line, but definitely not now.
But you're dead
And you're
right.
Totally right about the counselling. The daughter, and they're all going to need the best help they can.
Yeah, well, do me a favour, but hang on, say there both of you. Let me just get a male opinion as well on this. John, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, John?
I think in many ways this kind of reminds me of a bit like Philip Stone.
You're a bit muffled there, John. Are you on a speaker?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm on speaker. There's an issue with the mute button on my phone. But
right, go on.
It kind of reminds me in some ways of Philip Schofield. Like in the fact that the father hid the fact that he was gay for 15 years while having an affair.
Yeah.
And as I can tell you from experience in my own family, affairs ruin families.
Yeah.
It destroys families.
Oh, of course.
Because the first time you have an affair, right? Not exactly, right? Like if you were married to someone, right? And they were having an affair for years. Like they could come along too and say, okay, it was only this one time. But you're probably subconsciously thinking in your own head, it's probably not the first thing he's been doing it.
Yeah, I mean, if he was with this guy for 15 years, what's to say that he wasn't with another guy before that? Because they're married
Precisely.
41 years.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
But it reminds me, the reason why I used the example of Philip Schofield, right? Like Philip Schofield hid the fact, right, that he was gay for nearly 30 years.
And I felt so sorry for his wife.
I don't like Philip Schofield. I don't like him at all.
I wouldn't be a fan.
Well, I mean, he's a very smug, self-conscious.
Yeah.
And what I remember watching at the time.
Your line is very bad, John, but go on.
Sorry. And I couldn't understand how, when he was on Good Morning Britain, and they were all tuned saying, "Oh, you're a brave man for speaking out," yet completely oblivious to the fact that he was saved his own wife for 30 years.
Yeah, that's what got me at that time. Everyone going, "Oh, isn't he wonderful? Isn't he so brave?" No, he's a cheese.
Exactly.
I mean, if he was with another woman, or he had been with other women, would everybody be going, "Oh, what a brave man for coming out and saying I cheated on my wife"? No, he wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't.
No, and how did he know he was gay? Because he obviously had relationships with other men while he was married.
Yeah, but there's, I won't go into detail because I don't want to end up in court.
No, I'd rather you didn't. I know where you're going with the next line of conversation. All right, but I'd rather you didn't go into that. But okay, but getting back to this guy, so should she tell the mother?
I think she should, because like the mother has a right to know.
Mm.
And I think that, like, I mean, could you imagine how devastating that must be for the mother? Like?
Yeah.
So, as I said, I'll go back to my initial point. Like, I mean, affairs ruin families because
They do. They have a lot of victims' affairs.
It could be one affair, it could be 10 affairs. It's still an affair.
I mean, it's a fair point, Niamh. You know, everyone kind of panders over this whole thing, Niamh. And I'm sorry your line is so bad, John. It's just that I think it's because you're on speakerphone. But everybody panders over this whole idea. And I'm going to go back to Philip Schofield again. It seems he kind of comes into everyone's mind when we talk about this thing. Don't get me wrong. There's a million guys in the world who have done something similar to this. But that whole thing, and John is right, at the time people were lauding over Philip Schofield. Oh, isn't he wonderful? And he did this whole crying thing in the morning on the television, telling everyone about it. And it was all, oh, poor Philip, poor Philip. His wife. You know what I mean? I mean, if he had sat there on the sofa and said, listen, I've been having an affair with my wife for the last 25 or 30 years, nobody would have felt sorry for him. But suddenly because, oh, I'm gay, and I was obviously checking it out with different men while I was married, because otherwise, you know, how am I acting out the fact that I'm gay in the first place? I mean, we're supposed to have sympathy for him.
The amount of times he sat on that bloody same sofa facing people who were having affairs and had an opinion on them.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
and
the hypocrisy was unreal.
Sitting there, I have no respect for them. I used to like him. Used to think he was funny, and I used to enjoy watching him on the shows. Can't watch him now.
Mm.
And I mean, the latest thing that's come out about him as well,
I know,
his brother.
yes,
That's
his brother. It's even worse.
sickening.
Yeah,
that's sickening.
Well, it all depends on what he knew. You know.
Well, he knew enough. He definitely knew enough that he did. He said, "Look, no matter what you know, if you say nothing, you're complicit." And
yeah, of
you
course.
know,
yeah.
You know, you're you know, the biggest crime is saying nothing.
But he seems, but he's like Teflon. There's nothing sticking to him.
Of course he is.
You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. I think this might. I mean,
he was out for a week. He was out for a week. Yeah, he was. Well, he was. Is he back on again yet? No.
No, I don't think he's. I don't know. I don't watch him. I work when the program. I never watch it anyway. But I work when the program's on. But I don't know. But I think when it comes to this mother, it's going to be so tough because she's basically going to lose her husband twice. She lost him when he died, and now she's going to lose the memory of him because it was all a bloody lie. And it's so much for the whole family, because this is a family-wide thing, because it's going to get out and she'll be mortified and she'll have to tell the neighbours will find out. And it's awful. And for this guy to have so little respect that he felt his place was at the funeral. I understand he's upset.
Sobbing at the funeral as well, yeah.
Yeah, and I understand he was with him for 15 years, and I'm sure he loved him. And do you know what? Maybe he's as much of a victim as anyone else.
He's not. I would just stop out of that, Niamh. He's not a victim because he knew he was married.
Well,
so he's not
the wrong word, but he was naive enough probably to believe his lies.
I don't know.
I'll leave my wife.
Niamh, come on, you're normally more logical than that. Look. He was having an affair with a married man. He knew he was married. If you continue to have an affair with a married man, you're just as guilty. Just as guilty.
No, you are. You are. But he probably believed, he was so entrenched in this whole thing that he probably believed the lies. I'll leave my wife. I'll tell her. I'll tell my family. And he never did.
The only time that's ever an excuse, if it ever is an excuse, is if the person has very young children. This guy wouldn't have had young children. He's 67. There was no reason for him not to leave his wife for the guy if that's the way he felt.
There wasn't.
You know what I mean?
But it's just so messed up because, like, I get it. When they were considerably younger, it was difficult in this country to be gay. Mm. But it wasn't difficult to be single. You were allowed to be single. It wasn't against the law. It was against the law to be gay for a long, long time, but it wasn't against the law to be single.
And it was, of course, absolutely, and right up to the kind of mid-80s, 90s, it was kind of frowned upon. But you're right, it wasn't frowned upon to be single. You didn't have.
He could have lessened the damage. The damage. I mean, there was victims everywhere here. Like the mother is a victim. The children, if there's more than one, they're victims. I'm sure the husband didn't live a happy life because he had, he was waiting every day for his secret to come out. So that was his karma.
Well, hang
and
on,
now
wait a minute,
he's
Niamh.
gone, and he's left us all behind
Niamh, answer
for
this.
other people.
Answer this. There's a text here and it says, I can't come on, but neither of you have any, and it's me and you obviously, have any idea what it feels like to grow up gay in the 1960s in Ireland. End of. No idea. It scars you for life. Now hold on, texter, you clown. I mean, it wasn't in the 1960s. He only died this year. He could have told his wife in the last 10 years, yes, in the 1960s, I understand, but Niamh was right. It wasn't illegal to be single. You could have
You didn't have
stayed
to get
single.
married.
You didn't have to get married. Have a quick listen to these, Niamh, just before we go into the break. Have a quick listen to these. Hang on.
I just think, what a selfish man to allow that woman to marry him knowing that he was gay and let her waste her whole life when she could have had an affectionate, loving relationship with somebody else.
Yep.
Maybe she wouldn't have been so sad. Joanna.
Jesus, that lovely lady that's talking to Mr. Boylan there now sounds like Winnie out of Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Who's he talking to? Niamh. Niamh, you don't sound like Winnie. Don't be taking that personally. Do you know who she's talking about? It might have been Margaret that was on earlier on. Sorry, Margaret.
I'll take that if I can have Winnie McGoogle's money. I'd be quite happy.
I know Eilish very well, actually, Winnie McGoogle. Listen, I've got to take a break. Niamh, thank you very much indeed. Keep texting, keep WhatsApping. The number's 087 188 0008. Let me go back to the email very quickly for you, okay? Just to remind you again what we're talking about. It's an email from a woman whose father just died. And she found out he was having an affair for 15 years. Here's how she found out. She's at the funeral. Her mama's grieving, she's grieving. She sees this guy that nobody knows, and he looks really upset. She goes over to see who he is. Like, are you all right? Did you know, Dad? And he knew the daughter's name, knew everything about them, got really upset and ran away. The daughter, of course, needless to say, got very inquisitive as to what the hell was going on. Looked through the father's laptop, found lots of messages back and forward. They were madly in love. He was gay. They were soulmates. They talked about a lot of stuff, included stuff of a sexual nature, obviously, because she mentions that in the email. She says, I can't even tell you what else they talked about. Anyway, turns out the guy is having a gay relationship for the last 15 years. Never told his wife. Are we supposed to feel sorry for him? Nah. According to Ciela, she would have buried him with the laptop across his head. Anyway, the question we're simply asking you is, should she tell her mother? The mother knows nothing about it. Now, she does say in the email that although they weren't a lovey-dovey couple, they got on really well. But she said there was always this thing that she noticed, that her mum was very sad. Now, I don't know what she means by that. So maybe she's given the impression that maybe her mum knew something was going on, that maybe he was having an affair, but never proved it. She certainly probably never knew he was with a man and he was gay. He was a gay man. Anyway, I want to know, firstly, do you feel sorry for him? I don't feel sorry for him at all. But secondly, should she tell her mother? Should she actually tell her mother? Or should she just let sleeping dogs lie?
Ireland's Classic Hits Radio.
It's a funny old world we live in. Like, for example, the other night, I believe the Snapper was on, and they're now putting trigger warnings at the start of the Snapper. Have you seen that whole debate that's going on at the moment? Trigger warnings at the start of the Snapper. Yet Channel 4 will show a documentary or whatever this bloody thing is, where it shows, adults being, stripped naked in front of children to show them how the parts of the body or where the parts of the body are in gender, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, reaffirmation. Anyway, nonsense. Let me just go to Angela. Angela, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Angela?
Hi, Niall. How are you?
How you doing? We get trigger warnings for the Snapper, but you can watch naked human beings in front of children on telly all night. Nobody cares.
Yeah, that Naked Attraction show.
No.
Hilarious.
No, this is a new show on Channel 4, right? That's made by the same people who made Naked Attraction. And what it is children. There was young girls, the clip on they're showing on Twitter, it's like a trailer for it. There's young girls about 12, 13, 14 years of age and adults stripping off naked in front of them.
What?
Yeah, that didn't get a trigger warning, by the way, I can just let you know. But the Snapper got a trigger warning.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Channel 4, full-on porn, huh? Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I mean, Channel 4 was always known for that anyway.
Yeah, but there's a kind of line you don't cross, you know what I mean? Getting naked. I mean, whatever about Naked Attraction. I've seen Naked Attraction. You put it on for the crack sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just put it on for the laugh.
See some old fella's dangly bits hanging down, right? But in saying that, I mean, this is serious stuff where they're putting this kind of stuff on. But I'm just making a comparison that the Snapper goes on television and gets a trigger warning. You know what I mean? Snapper's just a bit of crack. Anyway, sorry, Angela, got off on a tangent. Getting back to the situation, should she tell the mother that the father was having an affair with a gay man?
Absolutely no way.
No way.
No way. No way. Like, okay, there is the thing of what, you don't know if she did know.
Mm.
If she did know, and for the past 15 years they had, do you know what I mean, an agreement that they just stayed together for the sake of the kids, or they stayed, and the mom knew about that. I'm not saying that's fine, but the mother is after losing the man that she loved.
Well, the man that she thought she loved.
Well, no, she loved him.
Well, okay, she did love him, yeah, but...
And it's like, and now you want to sit her down and tell her this and have to prove it. So to prove it, you're going to have to show her a few things.
But she's 65. She's still a youngish woman. Do you understand? She still has, a bit of life left in her. So at 65 years of age, you don't want her grieving for the next 10 years over a man that she thought was the man she loved. Because realistically, she'll love him a lot less when she finds out for 15 years he was with another bloke.
Yeah, so what you want to do is have her mourn her husband, mourn her marriage, mourn her relationship, and throw her out there where she probably never trusts another man anyway.
But she still I still believe she has to know. I'm sorry.
I honestly, because all she's going to do, first of all, is she's mourning her husband, and then she's going to sit down and go, so all those nights, so did he do it then? Did he do it? Like, that, I could not do that to someone. I couldn't do it to my mother anyway. No way in hell. Or my father.
So if you knew your father was having an affair, you wouldn't be able to tell your mother?
No, not a hope in hell. No.
Or vice versa?
Or vice versa. I couldn't do it.
So what, you just let them carry on and do what they're doing?
Yeah, I would.
Angela. Angela, for a woman whose marriage broke up because of an affair, and I'm sorry, I'm not having disrespecting you, I'm just saying, for a woman whose marriage broke up because of an affair, surely you don't want somebody else to be the last person to know.
You don't, but I suppose it depends on how it would. Okay, sorry, let me just say this. If I found out that my father had been having an affair, a long-term affair, and was still doing it, then yes, absolutely. But
so what's long term? If he was only with somebody for a couple of months, like, that's not long term, then that's grand. You just say, actually, that's grand. Or would you just go to him and say it to him?
Oh, I'd say it to him. Oh, I definitely say it to him. And it's like, you make a choice. You make a choice. You either stay with mum or you leave. And I'm not going to break her heart by telling her.
Stay there. Stay there. Let me go to Siobhan as well. Siobhan, you're in Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing? You're listening to Angela there, Siobhan. She wouldn't say anything. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Telling.
What?
I'm telling. I would tell.
Yeah.
I would absolutely tell that lady, because how old is this lady?
65.
I'm going 65. Look, tell her the truth. Let her dry her eyes and not be made a fool of again, I think everybody, no matter how painful, everybody deserves to know the truth, and then they can make decisions about their own life based on the truth. That's what I really think. It's going to be awful for her, but, what a terrible situation. But the daughter is now...
it's difficult, and somebody mentioned it's difficult for her too. It's difficult for the daughter as well. Her dad is a different person to the person she thought he was.
That's it, yeah, but he's dead now. He's gone, as heartless as that sounds. I don't want that to sound heartless, but he's gone. And now the mother is happy. She's still alive and living her life. And, if she knew the truth, she might, she
move
she
on
might
quicker.
Feel a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, Angela, that's a fair point. She'll move on a bit quicker if she knows the truth, Angela.
I don't think so.
Angela.
I honestly think it will make things worse.
Because
well, at least she won't be rummaging through bags like you are tonight. But go on, sorry.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I would have preferred my husband to have died than have had an affair.
Oh.
That's the truth. That's the very honest truth. And I said this from the start, and my mum actually said it as well. It's easier to mourn the loss of someone than an affair. Because they're gone, and there's nothing you can do about it when they're dead. They're gone. You mourn them. You think about them the whole lot. When it's an affair, that's a whole different ball game, guys. It's a whole different ball game of you're angry, you're upset, you're mad. And on top of this, you're angry, you're upset, you're mad, on top of being sad at losing him. Because she obviously still loved him.
Yeah, but it's a double sadness now because he's not just having an affair, he's having an affair with a man. She thought she married a heterosexual male. She clearly didn't.
Do you know? Well, do you know what the thing is? He could be bisexual. I'm not being smart, Art.
Yeah,
he could be bisexual.
Right, okay.
Nobody's kind of thrown that in. He could have been bisexual. But what I'm saying is, I had to live with what my husband did rather than him gone and not have to think about him with another woman. So what you are going to do is...
sorry, Siobhan. Sorry.
Isn't it better to know what your husband did than if he was still doing it? Isn't it better to have found out the truth? And I know it's awful when your husband has an affair. Trust me, I know that. But isn't it better for you to have done, because now you're living a better life, I hope, now that you know the truth. He's not still lying to you, treating you like a fool, betraying you every day, because that's what makes you angry, isn't it? It's the betrayal.
Well, hang on. Both of you stay there for a second. Let me just bring Jackie in. Jackie, you're on Ireland's Classic Hits Radio. How you doing, Jackie?
Good evening now.
How are you doing, Jackie?
I'm grand.
All right, you reckon she already knows?
I have a feeling you said on the email, or that lady said on the email, that they lived a happy life.
Yeah.
But she was always sad.
Yeah, she recognised the sadness in her mother. Yeah.
So I reckon she did know.
I
never told the kids.
Possibility.
You know,
I reckon
back
she
then,
knew. I'm with you on that.
Back then, you didn't talk about those things.
No.
You certainly didn't come out and tell people.
No.
No. So I do think she knew. But I think the daughter going to her will open like a Pandora's box. Yeah.
It's maybe an embarrassing situation for her. Yeah, but in saying that, I understand that people maybe didn't want to come out going back many years ago, but that doesn't excuse the last 10 years.
Well,
no.
Maybe it was an arrangement they had.
Just a marriage of convenience?
Could be. I get a child and I get a happy life and you get to do whatever you need.
Yeah, but and again, I'd understand that while they have young children or even teenage children or even children in college. But at 67 and 65, respectively, they didn't have young children. They couldn't have had.
Yeah, but if you tell a lie, you can't come out and telling that lie. You know, if you tell a lie from an early age and come out 30 years later and say it was all a lie, what else are they going to doubt that you told lies on? So it's easier keep your mouth shut, say nothing, and just continue on the lie. And I'd say she was mourning him. Like, at the end of the day, she was with him for, 40-something years. So,
yeah,
they obviously got on as friends or whatever, but...
Yeah, just housemates, probably.
Ships in the night.
That's true. That's exactly true now. It could have been a thing of, she turned around and says, I love you, I want to stay with you. And he's like, I don't want to move out. I don't want anyone to know this. And she's like, okay.
Jesus, there's an awful lot of supposing going on here. We don't know all of that.
Well, that's the thing.
I get the impression now. I get the impression from the daughter's email, because she said the mother's gutted and all that kind of carry on. I get the impression from the daughter's email that the mother hasn't a clue. I understand the point you're making, Jackie, the sadness bit, that maybe the mother thought that at some stage the father was having an affair but had no proof of it. But to think that he was having an affair with another man, I don't think she knew
maybe
that.
she doesn't know it was a man. Maybe she just presumed he was having an affair, or he was.
Is there any woman in this country listening tonight who, at 55 or 60 years of age, who found out her husband was having an affair with another man, would allow him to stay in the house? Come on, honestly.
That's why she never knew it was a man.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of different scenarios that if, buts, when, why, you know. But I honestly think she should not say anything to her.
Okay, well, look, I have to go for a break, and I'm looking at some of the texts coming in. Somebody says, Niall, she needs to tell her ASAP. It's only a matter of time before the mother finds out some piece of evidence, and the stress and confusion of it will kill her. Another person says, Niall, on a serious note, the mother needs to get tested. It's actually a health issue, Niall. Well, this is true, because if he was promiscuous, which we can maybe assume that he may have been, if he was promiscuous and he was going back to the bedroom to his missus, well, that could have been a problem, couldn't it? One or two of your voice notes as well that are coming in. Have I got time to play one or two of these? Let me just play one or two.
All right, Boylo.
All right.
Nah, look, Camira, it sounds to me like that Mammy might have knew something. Maybe they just stayed together, you know, for show, for the kids.
Yeah.
But even if she didn't know, what I would do is I'd be picking at the mother just to see what she did know. And, you know, maybe Mammy does know and doesn't want to tell the kids. Maybe everybody knows and they're just not telling each other. But no, because if she didn't know, I wouldn't tell her. The only person who can answer the questions at the end of the day is the person who's gone. So she's going to be left with an awful lot of unanswered questions if she didn't know. But it sounds to me like she did know. Maybe they were just staying together for the kids' sake, just for a show too.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.